Welcome to Truth Hunter. It's amazing to see that over 99% of our viewers enjoy our videos but haven't hit the subscribe button yet. If these stories captivate you and you want to explore more, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out. In just a heartbeat, we gain the power to create even more remarkable content for your delight. Join us as we set out on this exciting adventure together. It began on a warm evening after the final round of trade negotiations wrapped up. The city was wrapped in a tranquil hush, but inside me, chaos ruled the day. That night is forever imprinted in my mind, with Zane standing at the entrance of my hotel room, his tailored suit flawlessly sharp and his dark eyes filled with unspoken thoughts. "Auntie Selena, it appears you could use a drink," he said, his voice smooth and inviting. I smiled, hiding the storm that brewed within. Zane, the young man I had a hand in raising, the son of the man who brought me from Lagos to this distant, unknown land. Yet there was something about him, a captivating quality that pulled at my heart in ways I couldn't quite express. At first, I convinced myself it was insignificant, a fleeting thought I could brush aside. However, the feelings only grew stronger. I became consumed by memories of his smile, the way his lips curled when our eyes locked from across the room, the way his gaze lingered on me just a heartbeat longer, not as someone merely acquainted, but with an intensity that left me feeling unsettled, as a man regards a woman. Despite the looming threat, I found myself powerless to stop its progression. That evening, after a few drinks, the atmosphere around us shifted, thick with unspoken tension. His eyes locked onto mine, and in that moment, I realized we were about to step into uncharted territory. "Shall we take a stroll?" he murmured, his voice a blend of softness and daring. The night air was crisp and refreshing, the city lights shimmering like distant stars. Yet I felt a powerful heat surging within me, a fire igniting from deep inside. Every nerve in my body was awake, alive, trembling with an indescribable feeling that eluded my understanding. As we strolled through the serene streets, his fingers brushed softly against mine. I stood firm. I should have remembered my authentic self, the weight of what was at stake. In that moment, I let go and embraced the current. "Selena," he said again, his voice softer now. "Why do you keep calling me Zane as if I'm just your stepson? Is that really how you perceive me, merely a figure from your past?" His inquiry lingered in the air like the last remnants of a dying flame. I was at a loss for words. How could I admit that the boy who once looked up to me had evolved into a man who sparked a thrill in my heart that seemed completely off limits? The distance between us vanished. He leaned closer, his voice a soft murmur, sending a shiver through me, igniting a sensation that raced down my spine. "For what seemed like forever, I longed for this," he whispered, and in that instant, I surrendered to a flood of emotions that had been held back for too long. I told myself to pull away, to stop this before it spiraled out of control. Yet I held my ground. When his lips met mine for the first time, it was a gentle, tentative kiss, a soft exploration of what could be. He lingered, seemingly bracing for my rejection. But I held back, choosing to embrace the moment. I surrendered to the moment even as the alarm bells rang within me. I clung to him as if he were my last connection to stability. When we finally pulled apart, breathless, an undeniable shift had occurred between us. "What happens next?" he asked, his voice heavy with emotions that we both struggled to understand. An overwhelming impulse to flee surged within me. I longed to wipe this moment from reality. Still, I found my hand reaching for him again, acutely aware that retreat was not an option. The morning light broke through the layers of my denial, uncovering the truths I had tried to ignore for so long. As I opened my eyes, I felt the heaviness of Zane's sigh. He was right there beside me, his presence undeniable, wrapping me in a comforting warmth. A surge of panic enveloped me. What have I done? My husband, Jamil, was miles away, deeply involved in important negotiations back in Abuja, oblivious to the betrayal brewing within our own home. I stood slowly, making sure not to disturb Zane. As I moved, his grip tightened, his touch unmistakably asserting possession. "Selena," he murmured, his voice thick with sleep. "What happens next?" I exhaled unsteadily, my hands trembling as I reached for my clothes. "Did you tell him?" His voice carried a softness, yet an air of mystery hung in the words. I nodded slightly, stepping aside to let him in. Felt like I had no choice but to do so. He closed the door softly, his fingers running through his hair as he paused to think. "What comes next?" I shook my head gently. "I'm not sure, Zane." He spoke sparingly, simply stating that he needed some time. A sharp breath escaped him as if he was bracing for what lay ahead. "Do you feel remorse for it?" The question struck me with an undeniable force. Did I truly feel remorse? I yearned to respond with a straightforward yes, to admit that I regretted letting this happen, that I wished I had never looked at him like that, never given in to the fire sparked by his touch. However, deep down, the truth was far more complex than it seemed. I sincerely regret the hurt I inflicted on Samir. I chose my words carefully when I confessed. The weight of betrayal still lingers in my heart. I took a moment, my voice barely above a whisper. I hold no regrets in fully embracing the essence of life. Zayn moved closer, his expression unreadable. What does that mean? With my eyes closed, I tried to gather my fragmented thoughts. It means we can no longer proceed on this path, Zayn. This situation, whatever it is, must come to an end. I must strive to repair my marriage. His jaw clenched, fists balled at his sides. What if he decides not to forgive you? The question lingered in the air, its heavy implications weighing down on me more than I was ready to handle. His expression darkened. And what about me, Selena? Do you believe it will be so simple for me to forget what happened between us? His words swept over me like a cold wind, leaving a chill behind. His stare was charged with a dangerous intensity, a possessiveness that sent a tremor through me. I stepped back, increasing the space that separated us. You must, I declared firmly. We both need to do this. In that brief instant, silence wrapped around us like a heavy blanket. Without uttering another word, Zayn turned sharply and walked away, the door slamming behind him. For the next 2 days, I barely stepped outside the walls of my hotel room. I avoided Zayn, ignored his calls, and found myself in a constant state of anticipation, yearning for Samir to contact me with his decision. When the phone rang, slicing through the stillness, my heart raced as if it might stop altogether. Selena, his voice was steady, yet it held an unexpected edge. Samir, if you would be so kind. I started to respond, but he cut me off. He spoke deliberately, pondering the insights you had shared. I need to see you in person. I swallowed hard. When will it be? Tomorrow, I set off on an adventure to Paris. I closed my eyes, bracing myself for what lies ahead. Very well, we will talk then. The discussion came to an end. I exhaled a trembling breath, the weight of it all pressing down on me. Tomorrow, I would face my husband, the man I had wronged. A wave of uncertainty washed over me, leaving me in the dark about what his judgment would unveil. That evening, unable to find peace and wide awake, I ventured out of my room to roam the night. The hotel corridors were shrouded in silence, the air thick with an unsettling calm. As I stepped into the lobby, a voice broke the stillness, stopping me in my tracks. Struggling to find rest? I turned sharply. Zayn lounged in a sleek leather chair by the bar, a drink held delicately in his hand. His expression was enigmatic, but the profound intensity in his eyes sent a chill through me, resonating with the gravity of his words. It was clear he had transformed in a way that was undeniable. A mysterious presence lingered in the air. It's time for you to head to bed, I declared firmly. It would be prudent for us to follow suit. As I turned to leave, he unexpectedly grasped my arm, a light yet firm touch that stole my breath away. Tell me one thing, Selena, he whispered, his voice dripping with a dangerous tenderness. If he decides not to forgive you, will you come back to me? My heart tightened in response. Dane, I would greatly appreciate your response. I took a deep breath, gathering my courage to meet his gaze. Negative, his grip loosened, his expression unreadable. Without another word, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadowy corners of the hotel. A chill ran through me. I had made up my mind to bring this to an end, yet an unsettling feeling lingered, suggesting that Zayn was not ready to let go, and that thought filled me with a profound dread. The next morning, I found myself in the hotel lobby, my nerves stretched thin. When Samir walked in, he carried an intensity that hit me like a tidal wave. His demeanor exuded an unsettling calm, a tranquility that left me more unnerved than if he had stormed through the door in a fit of rage. He took his place in the chair across from me. Share it all with me, he whispered gently. With determination, I moved forward. I tapped into my deepest capabilities. I laid bare everything to him, the emotions I had kept hidden for far too long, the night I finally let go, and the heavy regret that lingered beside me like a constant companion. As I finished, he locked his eyes on me for what felt like an eternity, his face revealing nothing. Finally, he spoke. I cherished you, Selena. My trust in you was steadfast. His voice held a disquieting serenity, and now I wonder if I can ever view you in the same way again. Warm tears welled in my eyes. Samir, if you could oblige. He shook his head slightly. What I desire is time. I need some space. My heart is in pieces. Are you leaving me? He exhaled deeply, running his fingers through his hair. Uncertainty lingers. In a flash, he stood and walked away, leaving me to grapple with the aftermath of my choices. As I watched him disappear, it dawned on me that no matter how much I wish to alter the past, some betrayals leave scars too deep to heal. Some mistakes bear a weight that exceeds our deepest fears. In the days that followed, I felt like a phantom moving quietly through the threads of reality. Samir left without a word, his silence hanging in the air like a haunting echo, a persistent reminder of the pain I had inflicted. He missed the call. He neglected to send a message. And then there was Zain, who seemed to infiltrate every corner. At first, I thought I was just imagining things, catching brief glimpses of him in the hotel lobby, feeling his gaze as I moved through the corridors. But then the messages started coming. "You can't just make me disappear, Selena. Did you truly think you could exploit me and then just discard me?" Each message sent a shiver down my spine. I decided to ignore them, quietly hoping he would pick up on the unvoiced signal. But he didn't. One evening, as I returned to my hotel room, I found a single red rose gently positioned before my door. My heart quickened as I scanned the empty corridor. It was devoid of life, yet I knew its significance. Zane's grip was firm. As I reached for the rose, a shiver ran through my fingertips. Concealed beneath it was a note: "Meet me at the rooftop bar for one last encounter." A part of me wanted to walk away, to pretend this moment wasn't happening. But another part knew that if I didn't face him now, this cycle would go on forever. With that, I set out on my journey. The rooftop bar radiated a tranquil atmosphere, the city lights twinkling gently in the background. Zane stood by the railing, a glass of whiskey held delicately in his hand. He stayed motionless, ignoring my presence. "You made it," he said, his voice smooth but tinged with a hint of frost. I crossed my arms over my chest. "This has to stop, Zane." Finally, he looked at me, his dark eyes burning with an unsettling intensity. "Is that so? Do you truly think you can just walk away from this as if it never happened?" I inhaled deeply. It was a mistake. His jaw clenched. "A mistake?" He stepped closer, his gaze locked onto mine. "It's difficult for me to come to terms with that. I felt your gaze on me, and it certainly didn't escape my notice. Your response struck a chord within me. For a brief moment, I hesitated, pulling back just a bit. Once lost, I have now discovered my direction. It's time to realign my life." Zane let out a cold, humorless laugh. "Transform your life? With him by your side?" He scoffed. "Do you really think Samir will ever see you the same way again? Do you honestly believe he can forgive you?" I stayed quiet as a feeling of doubt settled deep within me. He took another step toward me. "The connection between us, Selena, is unmistakable." Our gazes met, and I drew upon every bit of strength I had. Maybe I did, but emotions don't always guide us to the truth. And in this instance, that is unequivocally false. Zane's face darkened with concern. "Is that truly everything? Do you honestly believe I can just let you leave?" I took a deep breath. "Indeed." His grip on the glass tightened. For a brief moment, I considered the possibility that he would throw it. However, in that instant, he exhaled sharply and turned away. "So be it." I watched him closely, expecting a passionate plea, a final reach for hope. Instead, he stood still, his eyes fixed on the horizon. That moment was my cue to leave. As I prepared to depart, his voice hung in the atmosphere, a soft whisper of, "You'll come to question this choice. I know it." A shiver ran through me, but I stood firm, refusing to look back. With the first light of dawn, I left my hotel room and booked the earliest flight home. I could no longer stay in this place, not with the memories that haunted me or the lingering presence of Zane that occupied my thoughts. As I arrived, I saw Samir waiting patiently for me just outside the airport. My heart tightened at the sight of him. "Text, you've made it," I whispered. He regarded me with keen interest. "Now, let's dive into a discussion." I nodded in recognition. "I understand." The return trip was tranquil, filled with unspoken thoughts that hung in the stillness. As we reached our destination, he stopped the car but stayed in his seat, not making any effort to get out. Instead, he turned his eyes toward me. "Forgiveness seems like a far-off dream, Selena," he admitted. "My feelings for you are steadfast and unchanging." Emotions overwhelmed me, bringing tears to my eyes. "I love you too, Samir, and I am dedicated to taking every step needed to resolve this situation." He looked at me for what seemed like forever, then released a deep sigh. "Only time will reveal the truth." It was not a gesture of forgiveness. It wasn't a promise. However, it signified a new chapter. Concluding thoughts. As time continued its relentless march, the echoes of our past lingered. Samir and I sifted through the remnants of our marriage, carefully scrutinizing every piece. Despite the obstacles that lay ahead, we remained steadfast in our determination to move forward. And what about Zane? He has seemingly vanished into thin air. Silence prevails, with no messages or phone calls to be found. It feels as though he has completely disappeared from my life. On a certain evening, as I made my way home from work, an undeniable sensation enveloped me. The distinct feeling of being watched lingered in the air. I turned quickly, my eyes scanning the lively street. Then I spotted him across the way, partly hidden in the shadows. Zane, our eyes locked in a moment of connection. A knowing smile spread across his face. In that instant, everything became clear. The conclusion is still unfolding. If this story has captured your interest, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Infidelity Tales for more captivating narratives. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. I can't wait to hear what you think. Welcome to Truth Hunter. It's amazing to see that over 95% of our viewers enjoy our videos but haven't hit the subscribe button yet. If these stories captivate you and you want to explore more, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out.